What's up, guys? D22-soso, Wayne Chiang, and we're here with the chief strategist, Joe Matton, and we have
Hello
a
there.
live at the bike hand from 2019. Let's see, we got Nick Vertucci, Bill Klein, Martin, Andy Stacks, Joe Matton, Lin G, and Garrett Adelstein.
Yes.
So this was a
Big
50,
lineup.
100, 200 game, three blinds. And was there any context before this hand?
Yeah, there was. So for depending on the player, there was some straddling going on. So it was getting up to like a $400 straddle as well. Uh, in this particular hand, the hand before, and it's actually on my channel. I battled with Lynn G and with Martin, and in that particular hand, Martin was actually got caught with his hand in a cookie jar, so to speak, right? So he didn't have a hand at all. He was drawing to something, never hit, and continued to put bets out there. And so as a result, it was a pretty good pot. It was like 30, just like 39,000 and change. And so I took down that pot, and so he committed quite a bit on a bluff. And I just noticed that throughout the session and going back and looking at the stream, he did play a very wide range of hands, and he played a lot of hands, and he played them pretty aggressively and confidently. So
So,
that was the context for this. So,
so
and this, oh yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
no, this hand he's got four deuce suited. And he's going to open the hijack, which is not a thing, not solver approved, not approved in really any era. But in super tight games, you can't try to run over the table, and people won't play back at you. This is not one of these tables.
No,
So
no. And this was like towards the end of the night too, or in this case, we
session,
played during the day, right?
yeah.
So it's we're getting towards the end of the session. Martin is down. I can't remember how much, but he's down, a pretty good amount. And so I'm not surprised, in looking at this that he played any two cards, so to speak. And in poker, right? Even though the solver says not an optimal play, the reality is you can play any two cards, right?
Yeah,
It's no one's stopping you.
yeah. Back 20 years ago, we definitely were very liberal if we felt like we could outplay people post flop.
Hmm. But that's changed a little bit, right?
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
the other context I would give here is this was my first high stakes game on a stream.
hmm,
So prior to that, I had experience playing a smaller game, like a 25-50.
mm-hmm.
But
Still
this is
big.
my
Yeah,
right. That was still big, but this one was mostly being straddled, and this was it wasn't actually billed that as this game. It was billed as the 25-50,
mm-hmm.
and then when I showed up, Bill Klein wanted to change it to a higher stakes,
Yeah,
and everyone agreed. And Nick said, "Hey Joe, you don't have to, you don't
play.
have to play. We apologize. We drug you in here.
Yeah,
I said, no, let's go ahead and play, and it worked out well because I started with 20K, and you could see my stack here towards the end of the night, it's up to 50, and with Bill Klein, I battled with him nicely, a couple nice all-in pots, throughout the day. So it actually worked out well. And this hand, like I said, this is my first time kind of going back looking at this hand in 2019. Thank God I won the World Series circuit event later on that year to make up for this particular situation. But it was definitely a challenging spot for me for sure. So I'm glad that we have a chance to go through this together.
sure. So Martin does open the hijack. So with context, this range can be like King 10 offsuit. Um, definitely ace. You go as low as ace 7 suited. Um, you know, Queen Jack offsuit maybe pocket pairs. Go down to fours. I don't think you're going to play threes in the hijack. That's just a normal range. Of course, people can go tighter or looser. And then you're on the button. You says you call, but you three bet with tens about 3x.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like 18, I think it was 1800.
Yes.
the graphics will probably get caught up here.
Oh, wait a minute. I think this was a three bet hand here. Yeah, raises.
Yep, 3-bet hand,
So this is a
1800,
bet. Martin
and
defends.
Martin calls. So him calling here is going to be not usually containing the lower Broadway cards. You can set mine. Ace X suited is in play. Some people are willing to play with suited connectors out of position. We are 250 big blinds deep. So if he thinks he can flop a hand and get your stack, he might liberally do so. And the
Hmm.
flop's 10-9-7. Martin flops a flush and you flop top set.
Flop.
And he's going to check it over to you.
Martin has flopped a flush against
Yeah,
top
so
set.
obviously I was really happy to hit top set here.
Yep.
But I also knew instinctually that, he could, I thought it was rare that he would obviously hit the flush, right? We know how low that is of a probability.
Yeah, but
Um,
he could hit the middling cards like strong, like pair flush draw, or sorry, pair straight draw, pair flush draw, flop a
or like
straight,
two pair,
set.
another
Yeah,
set.
so many things. Yeah,
So,
but you
so
beat
when,
a lot of that stuff with top set.
He's gonna fast play.
And again, it's 10-9-7, not 10-8-7. 10-8-7 has Jack 9 being a straight, which is just more playable than Jack 8.
Mhm.
So you bet 4,000, and there's two more streets, and you have 44,000 behind. So the bet made the pot 8,000. So you have to think what your turn in river bets would have been if there were no action when you have 44,000 behind and the pot's 8,000. So if a turn bet was like 6 or 7,000 if it was a blank, then you have about 35 behind. That makes it like pretty awkward on the river to potentially get check raised. And yeah, so like the bet sizing is fine. You just need to figure out what you're going to do on the turn the river if it gets uglier.
I could tell you at this phase where I was, since this is like one of my first time under the hot warm lights of the, and I know there was a lot of people watching this particular stream. It was, at this point I was relaxed playing for sure. Like, was a little uneasy when I first started, just given the lineup, but um, I was definitely more relaxed, coming up to this state, given that we're almost at the end of the session. So yeah, so I wasn't. I don't think I can genuinely say that I was thinking, okay, I'm putting this, and then I'm going to commit this on the turn and this on the river. Like I wasn't thinking like that at that stage of my streaming career, if you will. So it's a really good point. The other thing I noticed too, if you look at my body language, right, like I'm reaching for a drink and pausing, and there's the way that I'm behaving physically is different from what I would behave today in the live game, especially on
Yeah.
stream. And so I definitely see that. I don't know if Martin picked up on any of that, but it's definitely something I'm seeing.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't pick it up, but the whole thing is we want to try to do as well as we can. So Martin check raises to 11,000, about 2.5x. And then it's back to you.
So I decide to
Just a
just
call.
make the call here.
Okay, so you just make the call, and we want to figure out what our plan is on the turn of the river, because you have 37,000, the pot's 26,000. So what are you gonna do if a blank comes? What are you gonna do if a club comes? What are you gonna do if Jack 8 or 6 comes? You want to have that pre-planned before the turn hits.
Yeah. So obviously now that I can see his whole cards, if a club would have come on the turn, and I had a really good sense of that, but I didn't really have a good sense at the time, it would be maybe easier for me to go all in, right? Because he would be a little insecure with like a four high flush at that point. So with a club coming, I felt like I was beat for sure. I didn't know exactly if I was beat at this point. I really felt strong, but I knew that I was susceptible to being outdrawn potentially with another club if I didn't hit a full house in that case. And I knew that there was a possibility, right, that he could have flopped like a smaller flush. But I was thinking he more had either two pair or he had like a ace 10 or something to that effect with like a club. So at this point, I just made the call. I didn't see any reason to put any more, wood into the fire here.
Yeah, there's no need. You could pretty much slam it in all in right now, or on a clean turn, just be happy to get it all in. There's only a couple combinations of clubs. You could have ace x suited, and there's king, queen, jack. So there's pretty much only two combinations of high clubs out there,
Got
or
it.
that exist if there were two extra hands. But yeah, there's different combinations. There's with four cards you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. That's good, right.
Yeah, I mean you're dealing with a couple combinations of clubs, but either way,
So let's take a look at the turn. It's a clean turn. I think it's like a five of spades.
26,150 to the turn.
it's a clean turn.
Jones
Yeah,
playing.
So for me, it felt clean.
yeah.
Um, so Martin's gonna make a play here.
I mean, he could do a number of different things here. He could even shove.
And again, the way Martin was playing, like
16,000. Yeah, and I think Joe
he lost like a $40,000 pot to me just the hand before, like raising out like this on draws and
16,000.
not hitting.
It's gonna be
And so this is what I had in my mind, right, when I'm thinking about this. And take a look how I'm thinking and contemplating and throwing out some time chips.
Right. I know you don't do this stuff now, but yeah, playing with your chips like that, it's at least giving the semblance that you're not nutted.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because you're right. I don't play with my chips now. Um, it's funny how experience,
Although that
but
body language, when you like reluctantly do that, that could be like a tell that
that
you
could
are
be
nutted
some,
too.
that could be some Hollywooding too, right?
Yeah,
But we
exactly.
know
Yeah.
by looking at my hand, it's not.
And even throwing in the time chip, that could be Hollywooding that you have the nuts too. So yeah, it could go
Mm.
both ways.
So now I have to like Hollywood,
Yeah.
if I'm playing in another stream,
I mean,
so because if someone's watching this, right, they might
only has 20,000 left.
not be sure exactly what play is happening here. But in this case, it's genuinely me struggling here with my decision.
Unless you think that
At this point,
there's
I'm
more value in calling in
I'm I'm ready to commit here.
high
Yeah.
club, because Martin has been a wild bluffer tonight. So we could, you could credibly see that too. Just go call instead of shove here to keep his bluffs in.
Some of it, some of it was yeah. Because if I'm gonna go all in like that, like why am I doing all this? Like I'm looking at my body language now, right? If Martin's watching me,
Well, some people do this Hollywooding and then ship it with the nuts.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think if I go back, I can't really remember exactly what I was thinking back then, so I don't want to like make up a story here.
Yeah.
But I just can't see, just given it was one of my first streams playing high stakes, that I'm Hollywooding. I just don't think I can honestly say that today.
And there's the all in.
Yeah, I definitely think you should all in. As Bart mentioned before, like if you
And there's the
call,
call. Almost 100,000
you're leaving his
here.
bluffs out, but like I just don't see
One
many
time
dry
for
bluffs here.
100,000, and the river's
Now look at his.
three of clubs
Oh, they
to
didn't
Martin
do
looks
the
like a
full cutout to his.
disaster card.
Yeah, so he's obviously delighted here. So good job, Martin. You took a chance and you got a nice little payoff. But I guess, I guess the question I have for you, and I guess any other poker player that's watching this, right, whether they're experienced or not, it's a pretty big pot here, like $100,000 pot essentially, and I really don't think I could have gotten away
I don't think so.
against this opponent, right? Like
No.
not going all in. Um, but if I do retrospectively rationalize maybe what I could have done differently, if I just would have called the turn, I would have had about 15 or $16,000 behind, and so would Martin. When that club comes with his awful hand, I don't think he's going to go all in. I think he's going to check. I really do. Like, and I would probably have checked. And so in that case, I would have had $16,000 left over, and my initial buy-in was 20,000. So what a big difference, you know? Like, um, I mean, it's a
Yeah,
sixteen thousand.
I don't think you do that unless you were literally planning to call the turn and then fold to a danger river like a club or Jack 8 or 6. I think raising the turn was definitely correct. You just if he has a flush, he has a flush. You can't really just plan on that because
Yeah, I know, right?
he can have so many made hands. He could have like 10-8, 9-8, set of 7, set of 9s, two pair, 10-9, 9-7, 10-7. Queen
So,
Jack with a club, King Jack with a club.
the
King
other
Jack's
thing,
actually a double gut shot too.
so the only other thing I toiled with this hand is, Martin checked, right, on the flop. Given that it was there's a potential straight draw out there, a straight and the flush, obviously. With top set, would it have been wise for me maybe just to check and
No,
to
no, you
no?
definitely want to bet. Yeah,
Yeah, that was my instinct, right? Is I had to, especially against him,
yeah,
because he
I
only had
definitely
one club. That would have
because
been
if you said he was playing looser too, then he could wind up with
right.
this stuff, and then you're just ahead of so many things.
Exactly. That's what was going through
Yeah,
my head,
yeah.
But this is an example in poker where you make a decision, and sometimes the outcome doesn't align to the decision in terms of like decision being optimal, right? Or at least somewhat solid. And I think this is an example where the outcome or the result doesn't follow, right? Um,
I mean, look, he got lucky to flop a flush against you, and you still had a lot of equity. I think you had like 35% of the flop. So, like he paid for it long
yeah.
term, calling that pre-flop. Probably not so good unless you could really be sure to stack somebody, and
Mhm.
usually you would only do that in position. But even then, it's also on stream, so people are just going to play more hands. But just in general, this is just a cooler. It was unlucky, and things could have gone your way on the turn or river.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Wayne, for going through this and for pointing out, some opportunities here where the hand could have played out differently and just different ways of thinking about it. It's definitely helpful for me and hopefully for other people that, enjoy poker and got something from this. I hope it brought value to you as well. So appreciate your time, Wayne. And until next time, wish you all the best.
Sure. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Smash that thumbs up, hit subscribe. Joe Matton Poker.
Yeah, thank you.